Welcome into today's transmission. I'm so happy you are here and giving yourself the space, because that's what I feel called to talk about today is space. And we're going to get into a little bit of the learnings that I have had. So you may think this is a little bit wooey, but it's also extremely strategic, because I've promised to bring you this blend so that you start to see how there is a constant need for both structure and sweetness in your business. And so let's talk about this idea of space, and I'll give you some context. It is now, let's say we're coming up on mid-October, which is wild to me. And coming out of summer vacation, I took a lot of time off this summer. Between June and August, I calculated I probably was, quote unquote, at my desk maybe 2 days a week total. Maybe. I was doing a lot of work remotely. I could work on my phone. I was, not taking a lot of calls. I was connecting with clients and, potential partners and so on and so forth, mostly over text message or the phone, which meant I could literally be anywhere. All hail bringing back the telephone conversation for when we want to create space. But it really led me to evaluate, how can I create more space in my life so that I feel more at ease with how I'm spending my time. And, this all came out of really a time study. And if you have read any of the current lore out there, you've read, whatever it is, the 5-Hour Work Week, if you've read Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, which is a pretty good read, by the way. I've read it a couple times. There's some good nuggets in there. There's this real focus on time being the one thing in your life that you spend a lot of that you can never recoup. Money is not like that. Money you spend and then you will get it back. At some point in time, it will come back to you 2, 3, 4, 5 fold, whatever, 10x fold, infinity fold, whatever. Money is a renewable resource, but time is not. So part of this entering into this new era of marketing, of communicating, of business building, I have noticed this extreme shift in the way leaders are talking about asset growing through the lens of time. And it's fascinating to me. So I sat back and I really did a time study of the first 6 months of this year. And in fact, I went all the way back another 6 months. So from August to August almost, let's call it that. And this was when I had a bigger team. I had somebody who was on my team who was supposed to help me manage my time. And the irony is that I looked back at, I think there was a random week in March of this year, and my calendar made me want to actually like be sick. It was full. It was meeting after meeting after meeting after, fire after fire after fire that I was fighting. And it was constant and there was no space in there. And the attempt to create space was to block personal time. Hey, reminder, 5:30 p.m., you should be making supper for your children now. Or reminder, 6 a.m., it's time to get up and have personal time before your life begins. That was in my calendar. And I know if you have read things like Buy Back Time or the 5-Hour Work Week, or you subscribe to like the Hormozy-esque Gary V type marketing, this is going to be really hard for you to hear me say, but it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. We will not be guided. At least I won't, as someone who is an intuitive-led business owner and a mentor in that respect. The energy of your body does not function in that type of linear blocked way. We are not little guys from Minecraft made out of squares. Why would we expect that we would respond positively to that? It's a great tool to have to be able to assess how you're spending your time. So I now use my calendar differently. I use it retroactively. I set an intention for the day, I do the thing, and then usually the next day I'll go back in and block it out for the day previous. Here's how I spent that time. Here's what I actually got done, so that I do have an historic record of how my time has been spent. But I don't use it as my be all and end all. And there's going to be a segment of you listening who are going to say, this is insane, Erin. I love my calendar. I would die without my calendar. I wouldn't know where to be without my calendar. And I'm not saying calendars are bad, but what I'm saying is that if you are using it to help you create space, it probably is feeling misaligned. So what I did, recognizing that, I was like, I was supposed to feel awesome. It was baked into my calendar that I was supposed to be getting up and working out and journaling and meditating and all this stuff. And then I was supposed to be getting up from my desk at 5:30 every day and going and making supper with my kids and spending time with my husband and walking my dog and all these things. And yet it didn't. It always felt like I had no time. I felt pressure all the time. There's that phrase again, pressurized. So I made a radical decision and I blew everything out of my calendar that really didn't need to be there. Reminders, lunch times, all those things that like just by being a human being, I deserve to have. Breakfast, lunch, supper. And then about the personal time, I made a decision. All of my time is my personal time. All of it. There isn't time that is business time and personal time. All of my time is personal time. And when I shifted that, the energy of my calendar changed and I started to make different decisions. What portion of my personal time am I willing to dedicate to my business? Changes, doesn't it? You flip the telescope around and you look at it through a different lens. So what I decided is that Mondays, I no longer take calls. I just don't. It's also the day of the week when I do my most deep personal development. Right now, as you're listening to this, I am deep into my new yoga teacher training and coaching certification. Mondays happen to be the lecture days. The lectures are 3 hours long and you got to be there live. So that's really a good chunk of my Mondays. The rest of it is spent either preparing for that, studying, or doing other personal development projects like researching things that I might want to do, working on some new program material that I may want to be launching, all of the things that really light me up. But what I'm not doing is taking meetings on Mondays. I might set a couple meetings, send a few emails, but when I do, it's my choice. The other thing I decided is that despite the fact that I had been trying to protect my Fridays for the longest time, for the same reason that I want to protect my Mondays, this fancy calendar and having somebody help me manage that time and space, nobody's going to uphold that boundary better than me. So I started to uphold that boundary. And again, don't take meetings on Fridays unless it's a phone call. And I don't have to be in my office chained to my desk because the way that I choose to work is more fluid than that. If I have to be chained to a desk, I will die a slow death. So if you need me on a Friday, you can't judge me for where I might be or what access I might have. And I may tell you no, this waits until next week. So what has happened, and I use Fridays just to be clear, I sometimes do sit at my desk on a Friday. I mean, I'm running a company, right? I have to do things like payroll. I have to make sure that the, books are up to date and that I'm running some spreadsheets and things like that. But I'm not giving away that time. I am choosing to spend that time on things that I want to spend that time on because it's my personal time and I'm making a choice. So what that has led me to is my working hours are now pretty much 10 to 4, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Why are they 10 to 4? Because I choose to go for a run in the morning and I want to be fresh by the time I hit a call. So if I have a call at 10 and I go for a run at 8:30, I'm still pretty good to take that call. I don't look like a hot mess, express. And then why do I do it at 4? Because I often need integration time before I then go enter the world with my children. Because I can't always control their energy and how they're going to transition from school to home. They're little. So I give myself that space. And I really try. I'll do a yoga practice. I'll do a deep breathing practice. I'll pull my treadmill down and I'll do a walk. I'll do something like that to help me transition. I bake that in. It is so critical to me being a leader. But all of this leads back to what I said at the beginning of this episode is I chose to create the space based on my awareness of how I wanted to use the space. Space and time here are interchangeable words. I chose to create the time based on how I chose to prioritize using the time. And then what I did was I protected that time with everything in my being, because I was then choosing my personal. It wasn't work time that didn't belong to me. All of it belongs to me. I gave myself that power back. Huge shift. I started out by saying that we need some structure and we need some sweetness. And this is something that comes up in yoga all the time. And if you're a yogi, you'll appreciate this. There is the sthira and the sukha when you're doing yoga. The sthira is the structure. It is the pose. It's the warrior one. It's the down dog. It's your bones. It's how that alignment holds you up. It's your strength. Think of it as the scaffolding of a building, right? That is the sthira. You need that structure. Otherwise, your muscles would have nothing to hang on and you'd be all soupy, right? But the sukha is the sweetness, which is where when everything clicks and you're in that alignment and you breathe, and your breath actually does not have structure. Your breath goes into all of the spaces that are allowed to be open because the structure is so strong. So you'll notice when you are in a movement practice, and I notice this when I'm running as well, this isn't just a yoga thing. When you're running and you have great alignment, breath becomes easier. You can feel your breath hit the bottom of your lungs, get right down into your sacral region. You can feel your air push upward toward your shoulder into your throat. And sometimes you can even visualize it coming right out of your head and out of your ears, which is an amazing feeling. That is only allowed when you have created so much beautiful space in your body by creating the right structure. There is an analogous metaphor here. Your business needs both sthira and sukha. Your creative energy as a leader needs both sthira and sukha. You do need the structure. So for me, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You will find me working my tail off with clients, in meetings, doing creative stuff, brainstorming with my team, doing business development, trying to figure out, what I'm going to do next. Because if you think I have it all figured out, I do not. And the Mondays and the Fridays, that's my sukha. What am I flowing with today? What do I need today? Well, I'm feeling creatively blocked. I'm going to go for a really long walk. Then I'm going to come back and I'm only going to work for an hour. Okay, cool. That's your sukha. So we talk about deep thought. Now we're going to talk about, really this deep space that you need. And if you're taking anything from today's transmission, it's that you have the power to create that space. It exists for you already. What are you choosing? What are you saying yes to that is denying you the privilege of having that space? That's the transmission for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks so much for listening.